So what I wanted to talk about today was how you broadcast with SAP Analytics Cloud and what some of the limitations are, and how APOS can help fix that, so that you can understand the entire picture from the SAP Analytics Cloud suite. So let's look at SAP Analytics Cloud Publications, some of the things it can do and some of its boundaries, as Alan would say, or limitations. And these are limitations we're quite open with. This isn't a cloud option, so there are things we can do and there are things we can't do. So first and foremost, what is an SAP Analytics Cloud Publication? Is really a feature that allows users to schedule, create, and distribute reports in a variety of formats. So PDFs, CSV file, PowerPoint, and they could be sent to specific recipients or groups in an automated way, right? So if you've built a story, you can send that out to an end user. So in examples of an SAC publication would be a story being sent via email, either as a PDF in the attachment, maybe I've customized the email body, or there's a link in the story where the person's clicking on that link and then going directly to the story. So that's sort of a classic example of how SAC publications work. The concept here is that native SAP Publications is basically fulfilling some basic scheduling and distribution use cases. So the generation of a static report on a one-time or reoccurring basis. So reoccurring basis, I would say like 9 a.m. in the morning or 8 a.m. in the morning. The report would be launched, it would refresh, populate the report, and then distribute it out in PowerPoint, PDF, or CSV. The volumes are modest with SAC, and the assumption is that you're going to spread out your activity through the day. It is based on how many licenses you own, and so the idea is that you have so many publications per hour. So on that schedule, each report would be ran and distributed to an individual or small group of users. Typically, the recipients are SAP Analytics Cloud users. You are allowed 3 non-SAC users per distribution, but that's obviously fairly limited. And essentially, each publication assumes that each person is receiving the same report. So if I needed to do a sales report for myself and then run a version for Alan, which would have different data, those would be 2 publications, just so everyone understands how that would work. So a little bit different than the way you would have done it in, let's say, BusinessObjects. So what are some of the boundaries? I've kind of told you some of this, sort of setting this up as I go. For classic mode, which I think some of our SAP Analytics Cloud customers are still on, it's PDF and PowerPoint. For the optimized view mode, which everybody should be switching to and hopefully switching soon, is PDF, CSV, and PowerPoint. So we do have a CSV distribution for you. The delivery channel is email only, so no FTP, no file share distributions, certainly no fax. I think fax is kind of dead. Email size is a maximum of 25 megs. The maximum number of SAP Analytics Cloud recipients is infinite, but you would have to have licenses for those infinite numbers, obviously. Maximum number of non-SAP Analytics Cloud recipients is 3, and I'll actually show you that in a little bit. The content that you can schedule is essentially bookmarks and stories themselves on a reoccurrence of hourly, daily, weekly, and monthly distributions. And if you think of where those reports are going, similar concept to what we had in BobJ on the platform is you can go into favorites, featured files, a files page, etc., or from within the story itself. So those are some of the limitations. We can dive into those a little bit deeper. But traditionally, if we think of what we have in SAP Analytics Cloud, there's really kind of 3 personas we serve. We have SAP Stories, which is for the generic user, the analyst. So it's a drag and drop environment where someone fairly non-technical could build a report pretty quickly. And then the other 2 options, we have an SAP Analytics Cloud analytical application, which is really targeting the developer or someone who's in shadow IT. So the idea here is that this person can build a report, but also can enhance that report using scripting and a variety of other things. And then the third persona is really for that classic Microsoft sheethead, the classic Excel user, the SAP analysis for Office, where someone is working with an Excel and connecting into an S4 system, let's say, or BW or DataSphere slash BDC via SAP Analytics Cloud. And by the way, you don't need an SAP Analytics Cloud model to do that. You can go directly to those databases and consume those. So those are the three types of reports we typically like to broadcast out. The big thing you should be aware of is only SAP Analytics Cloud stories are supported today. So the idea is with stories, there's limited scheduled volume, which we talked about. We'll get into a little more details. Limited scheduling to external recipients, so only 3. So in the scenario where it's store managers, that's a little bit more problematic. No conditional broadcasting. So what a conditional broadcasting is let's say the database finishes. That's a great time to start sending reports out. And because that database might finish processing at 4 o'clock in the morning, it's loaded all its feeds, it's done its calculations. Well, it would be a great jump to the day to get those distributions started early, so it's in people's emails when they arrive in the morning. So that is a conditional event, conditional on the database finishing and then triggering SAC. It's also hard to configure dynamic recipients. So picking up recipients from other areas other than SAP Analytics Cloud, or even tailoring that distribution per recipient. So what we used to do at JP Morgan is we'd have a list of customers or counterparties, and we'd go through and dynamically filter through the business objects report to do that. And of course, we only have email as a destination. And there are limitations on DataSphere in terms of publications. Currently, we are working on closing that. In terms of the other 2 types of applications, currently analytical applications are not natively supported on SAC as of now. And analysis for Office publications aren't supported on SAC. You would really have to use your business objects deployment to schedule those. And typically you do that on a Windows box, as it's requires .NET or sort of maybe in a heterogeneous environment if you're use Unix or a Linux variation.